Galnet News Digest, review of the year 3307. The year 3307 was the year we found out about the shady history of Azimuth biochemicals. We met the Dredger clans for the first time. The Colonia Bridge was constructed, and the Thargoids began their second invasion of the 34th century. But in the Empire, all anyone was talking about was the Republican terrorists and the Imperial succession. Until September 3306, no one in the Empire gave the liberal political fringe a second thought. There were certainly a few people in the outer systems who wanted to restore the Republic of Aknar, founded by Marlin Duval and overthrown by her brother, Henson Duval, the first emperor, more than 1,000 years ago. But they weren't important people, and their views weren't important. The Empire could tolerate a little inconsequential sedition. 1,000 years of imperial tradition wasn't going to be shaken by a few people who thought they knew better than their superiors. So, when a fringe group of Marlinists, calling themselves the NMLA, started blowing up starports using Thargoid caustic enzyme bombs, the Empire was caught off guard. Senator Denton Petraeus responded by forcing the systems where Marlinism was endemic into lockdown, and by conducting a series of brutal purges where being a Marlinist meant you were considered a terrorist. In consequence, hundreds of thousands of Marlinist sympathisers fled the Empire, and were eventually resettled in their own colony after the intervention of the Sirius Corporation. The Marlinists were unsure of their long-term goals, but they were at least safe. The NMLA hadn't gone away, however. As 3307 began, the Empire was quietly confident it had the terrorists under control, and with good reason. They'd secretly detained the ringleaders of the terror campaign and were holding them in a secret and illegal interrogation camp outside Imperial borders. But at the end of February, a group of terrorists known to their captors as the Theta Group, led by Theta 7, somehow managed to escape. There is no doubt that they had outside help from someone high up in Imperial society, the logs left behind by the Imperial guards before they were brutally tortured and killed, tell of an Imperial transport arriving full of guards dressed in Imperial uniforms who gunned down the guards at the Serene Harbour interrogation camp and who used high authority overrides to unlock the inmates. It remains unclear who in the Empire sponsored their escape, but the Landgrave of Madrid is a key suspect. While they were in prison, the Empire held all the cards, but somehow it allowed the terrorists to escape, to resume their bombing campaign. A month later, on the 11th of March, the NMLA perpetrated the largest and most destructive bombing ever. During the so-called Nine Martyrs campaign, 9 starports were bombed, including 3 Imperial, 3 Federal, 2 Alliance, and 1 Independent station in retribution for the NMLA's own earlier attack on the Federal station Kepler Orbital, where a number of NMLA suspects were being held. The NMLA bombed the station to kill its own members and to save them from interrogation, and it was now taking revenge on humanity as a whole. Federal Vice President Brad Mitchell was killed in the bombings, and it was his successor, Jerome Archer, who put in place draconian surveillance laws to prevent terrorism that later threatened the stability of the Federation. The Affiliated Counter-Terrorism Unit, ACT, was set up by the superpowers to track down and eliminate the NMLA. The NMLA was eventually tracked down to the Madrid system, whence it had been receiving logistical help from the Landgrave, and a pitched battle took place, during which the NMLA sympathisers were roundly defeated. The Theta Group managed to escape, and in the process ambushed and killed ACT leader Captain Neve Suetonia. Not to be outdone in all this pointless killing, the Federation believed rumours that Hadrian de Waal, leader of the isolationist Nova Imperium political group in the Paresa system within the Empire, might have been bankrolling the NMLA terrorists. De Waal, considered an outsider to the de Waal dynasty, had no sympathy for the Republicans, but this didn't stop the rumours. On the 6th of May, the Federation attacked deep within Imperial territory, hoping to arrest Imperator de Waal. The attack was unsuccessful, and the Federation was left diplomatically and militarily compromised. They probably felt even sillier when, in October, the final starport bombing carried out by the NMLA was against Hadrian de Waal in Paresa, clearing Hadrian of all suspicion of having been involved with the terrorists. The last big hope for the NMLA was to persuade the Marlinist colonists to vote for the political wing of the NMLA. When the Marlinism Reformation Party under Minister Aaron White failed in July to get its candidate elected to the role of Marlinist consul, the retribution was swift and damaging. 2 key starports in Marlinist space were bombed, leading to a massive loss of life, including that of First Minister Jenna Fairfax. The Marlinism Reformation Party was declared illegal, and a short and bloody civil war ensued, during which the NMLA supporters were routed. Olivia Volkov, who replaced Jenna Fairfax, proclaimed victory and announced the death of Aaron White on the 19th of August. Unknown to the rest of the galaxy, the Theta Group had already gone into hiding following their failure in the Marlinist election. Theta 7 and his close circle were travelling incognito on a far god megaship, the Sacrosanct. Some believe that it was Theta 7 who persuaded the fatalist, pacifist doom cultist to build the megaship in the first place. The bombing of Paresa was carried out by NMLA members without assistance from the Theta Group. It was when a small band of NMLA members in the Marlinist colonies seized back their former flagship, the Steel Majesty, and made a desperate last stand in the Madrid system that Theta 7 finally decided to show his hand. He hijacked the Far God pilgrimage ship Sacrosanct and brought it to Madrid with the intention of rejoining the NMLA fighters. However, the firepower of the Epsilon Phonacis Empire group made it impossible for them to meet up, and when the Marines of Act boarded and retook the Steel Majesty, and after members of the Far God cult sabotaged their ship's hyperdrive, making escape impossible, Theta 7 chose to commit suicide, using his remaining caustic enzyme charges to destroy the Sacrosanct and everyone on board. The story of the NMLA appears to have come to an end. The story of the Marlinist colonies is only just beginning. Also just beginning is the life of a prospective new heir for the Imperial throne. Neither Emperor Orissa nor Princess Aisling de Waal have any children, so the birth of a son to former Nova Imperium leader Hadrian de Waal and his wife Lady Astrid Minerva, 8 months after their marriage in April, may well have given Hadrian a leg up in his ambition to become emperor. He'd shrewdly ditched Nova Imperium a few weeks earlier when he accepted senatorial protection from the NMLA, and he seems to be getting on pretty well with Princess Aisling, who offered him first aid after an attempt on his life in November 3306. Far from being an outsider, Prince Hadrian may now be the favourite to succeed Emperor Orissa. By their actions, the NMLA may have changed the future of the Empire, but not at all in the direction they intended.